Hello everyone, Geriatric here with Gary, and I hope you are staying retroactive. And tonight we have a special guest, the lovely Paintivity is here. And so tonight was a pretty great movie. It was Split by M. Night Shyamalan. You might have seen the trailer for this one. McAvoy, kind of a suspense. I don't know. Would you call this a horror movie?
Not a horror movie, definitely suspense.
Definitely suspense, where he's different personalities.
23, 24?
23, 24. The basic plot of the movie is this. At a party, three girls are abducted by this character, who's played by James McAvoy, and basically imprisoned. Now, this character has 24 personalities, and there is a very sense that there is some very dark purpose that these girls are going to serve.
Right.
And, I mean, first off, I guess we just got to talk about McAvoy. In a very challenging role, where he basically has to play 24 different people, and, I mean, I personally think he just knocked it out of the park.
I thought it was amazing. That was, like, the whole reason why I wanted to see it, specifically because it's challenging for the actor himself.
And I mean, it wasn't even like different voices or anything else. I mean,
Sort of.
But I mean, he would even like just the way he held himself, the way he sat, the way he moved.
Yeah.
You suddenly started to realize as the movie went on who you exactly were dealing with.
Yeah, it got to a point where, I mean, he could barely just move the right way, and you could be like, oh, I know exactly who that is right there.
The girl, do you remember her name?
The main character?
Yeah, the main. What was her name?
That I don't know.
Her character, fantastic actress. We don't think we've seen her in anything else.
I know her character's name.
What was her character's name?
Her name's Casey.
Casey, who, I guess if there is one fault with the movie, it was kind of telegraphed that this was who we were going to start rooting for.
Right.
Was
yeah.
this girl?
You started rooting for her way early on.
Way early on in the movie, but she did a fantastic job. I'm sorry, I don't know the actress's name. And in another role was this psychiatrist who played by this wonderful older lady. I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think it was the old lady who was in Devil, in the elevator movie, another movie. I think it was the same actress, but does a wonderful job because she's kind of like our knowledgeable person about this.
Not only that, it was kind of rude. You just called her old. I mean, yeah,
older.
She is older.
But she kind of tells you about the facts of having. What was it?
They were calling it DID, which was, or maybe it was DAD.
It's like dissociative identity disorder.
So DID. Okay.
DID. Yeah. So, I mean, she was kind of like telling you, and I mean, I don't know if the facts were real on it, but I mean, there was a lot of interesting facts she throws out about people who have this disorder. I don't know if it's real or not.
Part of the thing, though, I mean, to me anyway, is with her explaining it. That's one thing. So you know, but what I found very interesting was that this movie was based on a true story.
Oh yes.
So I think that there is a lot of fact within the information that was given. Maybe not 100%. But, I mean, interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, if you don't know the real story, a guy who also had about, I think it was, honest to God, I think it was 24 identities, was charged with raping 3 women. And the lawyer argued that, okay, look, it's not him who did it. It was these other personalities, and he was actually the first guy to be declared mentally insane because of this disorder, and he was the first person to ever do it. He actually was sent to a mental hospital, and through therapy and stuff was able to fuse these identities together, and actually was able to leave the hospital as a functioning. And I mean that's kind of a segue into, you know, a very ethical question that this movie raises, is that is somebody responsible if they have this disorder, not, you know, faking it or claiming that, oh, somebody else did it. I mean, is that person responsible for what another personality does?
Well, we get into a long discussion about this, but I mean, you know, devil's advocate, let's say, like, completely opinionated, of course, but if it's as extreme as the movie portrays, where these personalities know what's going on and share information within, then yes, I would say yes, because they knew what was happening, they had the power, I guess, to stop it and didn't. However, I don't know if that's how it truly works. So I can see why you can't charge somebody, if because you don't know. We just don't have research or anything to back this up.
Yeah, and I mean it. I mean, I always think that. I mean, you are right. If there is ability to share information between the identities, then maybe there is. But if it was very interesting, going back to that original cases, the women who were actually raped actually testified for that guy's defense because they said, "Look,
Really?
this is not the guy who raped me." It eventually turned out it was a female personality actually,
Wow.
who did it.
Wow.
But I mean, it's just, I mean, you really think about with this movie. You really think about it afterwards. It's not something where you just leave the theater and you're like, oh, okay, movie's over.
Right.
I mean, this is something you think about. We had a long discussion in the car about
Yeah.
about a lot of these key things.
Well, the movie itself, I mean, while we're sort of talking about it, there's a huge message, I guess, of the body is capable of a lot of different things.
Mhm.
The mind is definitely capable of a lot of different things.
Mhm.
But then on top of it, there's almost, without being an outcry, there's actually a huge, how do I want to say it? Like, awareness issue
Mhm.
of people with mental disorders.
Yeah.
I mean, they just focused on one, but I mean, I don't want to lump them all together, but a mental disorder can be a problem and wreaking havoc with a lot of different people, no matter what it is. So it's almost like they're exposing one big problem, but with the character of Miss Fletcher, so like the therapist, I would say,
Mhm.
she's put in a light where she's knowledgeable about what she does, but she's also helping, and that's a big deal. So a lot of people don't want to get treatment,
Mhm.
and it doesn't mean that they have to per se, but it's the fact that that was there, that one of these personalities was like, hey, I need you.
Yeah,
And
I mean that is something else. I mean, maybe in the trailers you've seen for this movie is you think this guy is the villain, but he's not. You really,
not really.
prior to all this happening, we are never told that this guy ever had a problem running with law. He was working. He was doing everything he needed.
Maintained his job for a long time.
And I mean, and that's the thing. So you start to associate with some characters that this guy plays
Yeah.
while hating others. I mean, and it's hard because it's almost like there's only one guy, but he's your protagonist and your antagonist.
Right. Yeah.
Another thing to talk about, if you didn't know, written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Now, hold on, get away from the back button. I know he might have burned you in the past for some of the recent movies.
Just a little.
I know, just a little. But I can tell you, this is a very good story. This is a very well written story. It's very well directed, and it's very cool that in this movie is we do not have a group of characters who we meet for literally like 10 seconds, and then suddenly the bodies start piling up.
Right.
This isn't like Friday the 13th or something like that. You really care about these characters. You really start to associate with them. Mm-hmm. So then when the movie kind of shifts later on into, okay, they were not in a good place right now, but they're in danger now.
Right.
You start to really care about them.
Yeah, it almost takes like I want to say like somewhat realistic approach. Because, again, it's based on the story and everything, which I don't know the true story. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I can't tell how much I could take from it. However, this puts you in a situation where you're like, oh my god, I've heard stories that were similar, not the same, but similar to this. And this may have been like a visual into the hell that they went through.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
it's not the blood and guts. It's not the horror kind of craziness, but it is so suspenseful because you're like, oh my god, what's happening? How are they gonna go? Like, you're very tied to these characters who, like, they're not sub characters really, because they're the main focus. However, it's like real danger.
Yeah, and I mean, I mean that was another thing too, is that it's oh god, kind of what do I want to say here? It's very hard in situations like this where you are portraying something that is very real.
Right.
As you may have heard or not, there was kind of a little uproar in the psychological community. Are you making fun of these people? And you don't.
No.
You don't hate these. I mean, you're not making fun of them. And it was interesting because when McAvoy first shows up and he's in a dress because he's now a female version.
Right.
Yeah, there's a little bit of nervous laughter. You're like, oh my god, everything else.
Right.
But it was very interesting, but just by building and building and building, suddenly it wasn't funny anymore.
No, but even like on like the actresses part, the three that played the victims. To me anyway, they had very realistic reactions.
Yeah.
Like if I was in that situation, I wouldn't know what to think either. I'm pretty sure my face would have been just as surprised as theirs. It was almost a reaction as if they didn't know it was coming.
Right.
Which is exactly what you wanted.
So
well, I wouldn't say wanted, but that's exactly what you expected.
Well, and I mean, so this is a very good movie, but now here comes a little warning. Okay, this is PG-13. As I said, this isn't about blood and guts. This is about suspense. However, this movie does deal with some very traumatic themes, very mature themes. I say if the kids are 12 or younger, don't bring them to this one because it's
unless they're really ready to deal with the topics of abuse and very minor blood and guts. Like, really very minor, but still enough to just be like, holy crap, I can't believe that just happened.
And I mean, even to me, the blood and guts wasn't the thing that started bothering me. It's just when you start hearing some revelations about some of the characters where you're like, okay,
Damn it, Cameron.
I don't want to do that. Now, as I said, this is a no spoiler review. We adhere to that, but I'm going to tell you this, okay? Because that's the question. That's what you want to know, don't you? It's an M. Night Shyamalan film. Is there a twist at the end?
Ooh.
The answer is no. There is no twist.
Right, which I highly expected.
Right. However, okay, and as I said, I'm not going to tell you, but there had been a lot of talk in the media about this movie. Was it a spiritual successor to another M. Night Shyamalan movie? I can tell you this. It is a direct sequel to one of them.
And I think that that's brought up too when you hear, what was it, like I don't want to say a broadcast, but like a preview or something. It's actually mentioned.
Yeah.
That it's technically a sequel
to one of the. Now, as I said, we're not going to tell you which one, but it is a sequel to another M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Right.
And as I said, it is actually one of my favorites. So when this, and as I said, what happens? You're going to see a credit, and then it's going to go right into the scene. You don't have to wait until the end of the credits. But afterwards, I was just like, oh my god, because it's one of my favorite M. Night Shyamalans. But again, we won't tell you what the movie was. But it is a direct sequel.
Right.
Okay? To another one.
Actually, for being this movie, so no twist ending and that kind of thing, it didn't really leave you with a lot of questions. Like, don't get me wrong, there's tons of questions you can pull from this movie for many reasons. But I think they tied it together very well. Like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, this makes sense, or, oh, I get it, why they said that now. Like, you get a lot of things, even though there's so much to talk about after.
So,
it's great.
So, yeah. I recommend it. She recommends it.
Totally.
It's a good movie. It's a good suspense movie.
And a lot of people didn't give it a lot of credit.
Right.
For whatever reason, people saw this preview and was just like, no, I'm good.
Right.
And I think it was great.
Well, and it's funny because when I saw the preview and, you see McAvoy in the dress and changing and you're kind of like, okay, I don't know if this is my cup of tea. And then you see that it's written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I was more like, okay, now I'm in. I'm 100% in now because I want to see.
I was kind of the opposite. I was like, oh, this really has me, but it was directed by him.
Right. So, but as I said, it's a good one. Does it replace The Sixth Sense? Probably not, but it's still a really good one.
Would you consider this an intellectual movie?
Well, it is because it's there. Because if you really think about it, there's really not a lot going on. It's almost a one setting place.
Kind of,
where
yeah.
this whole movie takes place with very short little snippets outside.
Right, but
So,
I mean, if you put it up against Arrival, for example.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you've got like Arrival's educational, sort of in a way, with linguistics. Would you put this up there as being intellectual for the sake of like mental illness and awareness? Like, would you put it on the same level, or would you just say, nah,
I mean, that's
kinda...
hard because of the end of the movie. When
Okay.
things start, as I said, no spoilers here, no spoilers
Right.
here. But things get a little out there. So
not too far out there, actually.
right. But I mean, it just got to a part where if you were one of those people who like, okay, real things scare me, oh, you would be scared all the way to this movie, but about by the last 25 minutes, you might be to the point where you're like, okay, this is just a movie, I can distance myself from it.
Right, and that might be kind of what they wanted.
And maybe that is, because, yeah, it gets to a part where, as I said, the suspense is incredible.
Yeah.
And I mean...
Yeah,
it
is PG-13. There's not a whole lot of blood and guts, like
but it's
very little. However, it deals with a lot of what I would say adult content.
Yes, very.
I mean, and I think with the three girls that played, the captives, for being their age, which I'm guessing they're younger, like maybe at least 18, maybe.
Maybe I don't.
Maybe I mean it's weird in the filming world.
Yeah.
Where ages and stuff, but they did very well to keep them modest.
Yes.
Even though there's some like things where you're like, oh, this is heading in a direction where I'm just super uncomfortable. They kept them very modest, and so you're not worried about nudity. You're not worried about harsh scenes that are sexual, like at all. And so I mean, it's just a PG-13, minor blood, but deals with a lot of
that might make you uncomfortable.
Situations that you might have to explain later.
There might be. I guess really the whole thing is there are some things, as she said, about abuse and stuff that might trigger some people if they've gone through that stuff.
And that can be really hard.
Right, and you kind of don't know about it going into it. It's only it kind of hits you halfway through the movie where something gets revealed and you're like, okay, not okay with this. So, but yeah, if you're an adult and you want a suspenseful movie with some wonderful acting by everybody.
I'm really hoping that somewhere down the line this gets like an award. Like,
yeah, because for McAvoy,
I would watch the awards just to see him get one, because that was amazing. Yeah,
McAvoy, as I said, just for a role that with a lesser actor could have been funny, it's not. You believe that he's this character now he's this character, now he's this character.
Yeah, and I can only imagine the work that was put into that.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see him accept an award and bust into a couple characters.
I mean,
because that would be the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, so yeah, go check it out if you're an adult. As I said, very good movie. It was really, it was really good. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
All right, so this is Geriatric with Gary and of course the lovely Paintivity as our special guest. And just a reminder to keep it retro. Graham, any other fun surprises around here? Okay, let's go to the... Oh, God! Damn it! Am I dead? Oof.